Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news at 6 where we get you the day's top developing stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. No end to the power tussle in Tamil Nadu. AIDMK chief VK Shashikala hits out at caretaker Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam, demands immediate invitation from Governor C. Vidyasagar Rao to prove her claim to the CM post. Campaigning ends for phase 2 of UP Assembly polls with a series of political rallies by all parties. 67 Assembly constituencies in 11 districts to vote on Wednesday. China joins the US, Japan and South Korea in condemning North Korea's missile test. The nuclear-capable missile test fired by Pyongyang on Sunday can travel between 3,000 to 5,500 kilometers. And Team India continues its unbeaten streak in test matches. Defeats Bangladesh by 208 runs in one-off test at Hyderabad. Skipper Virat Kohli becomes the first Indian to win 8 test series in a row. First, let's get you all the details that we're getting in from Tamil Nadu. The political tussle in the AIDMK is still awaiting an end in the state. Party chief VK Sasikala urged an early invitation from Tamil Nadu Governor C. Vidyasagar Rao to allow her to prove her claim for the Chief Minister's post. Accusing caretaker Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam of betraying the party, Sasikala said that she was supported by as many as 129 AIDMK MLAs. AIDMK General Secretary Sasikala organizing a show of strength before the media on Monday. Addressing her supporters outside her Poise Garden residence in Chennai, she said attempts to divide the party will not succeed.
கழக தொண்டர்களை ஊக்கப்படுத்தி 1.5 கோடி தொண்டர்களை உடைய இந்த இயக்கத்தை ஒரு பன்னீர்செல்வத்தால் ஒன்றும் செய்துவிட முடியாது.
The Sasikala faction has dismissed allegations that none of her supporter MLAs were being held hostage by her.
Madam VK Shashikala will 100% become the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. I think all the MLAs have formally supported Chinnamma. In a state apparatus, I think that is what is important. Mr. OPS can create a media circus, can do all the kinds of tactics to drum up social media emotion. But Tamil Nadu people deserve a decisive, strong leader who will take Chinnamma, Madam's legacy forward, and Chinnamma is the right person.
Earlier, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam reached the State Secretariat where he held talks with senior officials. Incidentally, DMK Working President M.K. Stalin also reached the Secretariat ahead of him, sparking speculation of a possible meeting between them. It was Pannirselvam's first visit to the Secretariat after his resignation on the 5th of February. The caretaker Chief Minister has dismissed suggestions that administration in the state had come to a standstill due to the political crisis, claiming that he was meeting officials daily.
No, you can't say it as a shortage of MLAs, because the MLAs are all trapped in a resort. They should be set free. If they are set free, they will surely support our Chief Minister.
Despite the growing delay in initiating the process to form the next government, Sasikala and her supporter MLAs maintained that chances of Governor Vidyasagar Rao inviting her are high.
The rift is within. When the rift is within the party, what is the role of the opposition parties in it? I understand all these things. See, this is just they want to save their face. They are blaming on the other parties.
In growing support for Pannirselvam, 6 more AIDMK MPs joined his camp on Sunday, taking the number of parliamentarians in his favour to 11. On Monday, the Madras High Court reserved orders on petitions relating to the alleged illegal detention of 2 MLAs at a resort where legislators supporting AIDMK General Secretary VK Sasikala are housed.
The Sasikala faction accuses the DMK and some external forces from New Delhi of brewing dissent within the party. Meanwhile, the OPS camp is holding hectic parleys to garner more support. But in this squabble for the chief ministership, it is the state of Tamil Nadu which is suffering from governance deficit and has been pushed to the brink of political instability. Reporting from Chennai with camera person Sudhanshu, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
In fact, Kriti Mishra is joining us live now from Chennai, tracking all the developments that are, of course, happening thick and fast. Even as we talk, Kriti, I understand the Attorney General has advised the Governor, Vidyasagar Rao, to conduct a floor test in the Tamil Nadu Assembly within a week's time. How does that augur for, of course, Sasikala and OPS?
Well, that's right, Tracy, because test of strength is imminent for the throne of Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. Taking a cue from the SR Mumbai case of 1994, Attorney General is believed to have suggested the Governor to convene a special assembly session of Tamil Nadu and also give both the factions a chance to prove the majority on the floor of the House. Now, we are also learning at this point in time, Tracy, that the Supreme Court may give its verdict in the disproportionate assets case against Sasikala tomorrow. So the political turmoil will take a very interesting turn from there on, because if Sasikala is convicted, she would lose the chance to become the Chief Minister for a period of 6 years. Then she would try and plant her proxy. And if acquittal comes her way, then it's going to be a massive show of strength. It's going to be a it's going to be a game purely based on numbers. So even as we speak right now, Tracy, Sasikala is holding deliberations with her MLAs at Golden Bay Resort near Mahabalipuram. This is, remember, the third day in a row that she is meeting her MLAs. She's just trying to cement support so that she can stake claim to form the government. Tracy?
All right. Yes, like you pointed out, of course, that disproportionate assets case, the verdict perhaps may be out tomorrow. That is, of course, the indication that we're getting, at least from the national capital. Meanwhile, you know, there are, of course, more MLAs who have joined the Paneerselvam camp, and that is, of course, going to be a bit of a worry for Sasikala, because any number below 116 or 19, and she would be in trouble in the floor test.
Well, that's right. So, in fact, the OPS camp, people supporting Paneerselvam are also trying to poach a lot of MLAs from the other side. On the other hand, Sasikala is trying to alienate them from the rest of the world so that they do not change their loyalties, they do not shift their allegiance. But of course, if a floor test is to happen within a week, it would be absolutely clear on the floor of the House who enjoys the majority, the support of majority of MLAs. Tracy?
Absolutely. And Kriti, since you are there, of course, and you've been talking to not just the political sides, but also to the locals there as well, what do they make of this saga that they're seeing as far as the AIDMK is concerned? They've just got over that grief of, you know, the loss of Jayalalitha and now having to deal with this. Where do the allegiance stand?
Well, as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned and the people of Tamil Nadu are concerned, it is only about the legacy of their beloved Amma J. Jayalalitha. So, of course, Sasikala has been claiming that she has been with Jayalalitha for 33 years and she's been there with Jayalalitha like her shadow. O. Paneerselvam claims that J. Jayalalitha always reposed her faith in him and in fact made him the chief minister when she was acquitted in the case of when she was convicted in the case of disproportionate assets case. So in fact this is continuing. They also try to invoke memories of J. Lalita. In fact, when you go out on the streets of Chennai, you'll only see posters, big posters with the picture of J. Jayalalitha at one hand and O. Paneerselvam, and the other posters with Sasikala and J. Jayalalitha. So all that they're trying to do is stake claim to J. Jayalalitha's legacy, and the people are also concerned.
Yes.
And they're also figuring out who could carry her legacy forward. Tracy?
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Kriti, thanks so much for joining us. Two major developments that we're expecting, of course, tomorrow. We'll leave it there for the moment. Come back to you as the evening progresses and perhaps get more updates. For the moment, let's get you the latest that's coming in from the ongoing assembly elections in the 5 states. All right, campaigning for the phase 2 of UP assembly polls ended at 5 p.m. today, and 67 assembly constituencies in 11 districts will vote on Wednesday. In the last assembly polls during ruling, Samajwadi Party had in fact won 34 seats, followed by the BSP on 18 seats, the BJP 10 and Congress 3 and others 2. Important seats in this phase are Saharanpur, Bijnor, Moradabad, Amroha, Pilibhit and Badaयूं. 64% voter turnout was recorded in the first phase of elections that was conducted on Saturday. Campaigning for the Uttarakhand Assembly seats also ended today. 69 seats in the state will vote in a single phase on the 15th of February, also on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has postponed the elections for one seat each in Uttarakhand and UP following the death of candidates in UP's Alapur constituency and BSP candidate from Karnaprayag district. According to a law, the political party is given time to field a new candidate if a candidate of any recognized party passes away and polling is fixed for a new date. The new dates will be announced later. And political bigwigs were in Uttar Pradesh on Monday as they tried their best to woo voters before the second phase of polls, which will take place on Wednesday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Lakhimpur Kheri district addressing voters there, and he termed the Samajwadi Party Congress alliance as a desperate attempt to stay in power. He said that since the ruling SP had got a wake-up call in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, the party had turned to the Congress. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi was also in the district to address a rally today. He launched a scathing attack on the Prime Minister, saying that it was evident that the Prime Minister was preparing to lose the state. Rahul Gandhi also attacked the Prime Minister on the issue of demonetization and black money and also addressed a rally in Bijnor. Meanwhile, UP Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav addressed several rallies on Monday. He addressed a rally in Moradabad where once again he targeted the Prime Minister over demonetization, saying that the Prime Minister just made a fool of people. He also said that the BJP does not have any chief ministerial face for the state and were not even interested in making a government. He also targeted the BSP chief, Mayawati, saying that she was only interested in constructing party symbols across the state and has no concern for development. In another rally at Badaयूं, Akhilesh Yadav said that if the SP was re-elected to power, then the youth will be admitted to police force without an examination. Meanwhile, BSP Supremo Mayawati also addressed rallies in Unnao and Etawah on Monday. She attacked both the BJP and the Samajwadi Party, saying that under the ruling government, the state witnessed deteriorating law and order, adding that many atrocities on Dalits went unnoticed. On the BJP, the BSP Supremo said that the party had no plans for development of the backward classes and that they were interested in ending the reservation for Dalits and backward classes.
वर्तमान सपा सरकार ने यहाँ शुरू से ही अराजक, आपराधिक, सांप्रदायिक, भ्रष्ट व जंगल राज ही व्याप्त रहा है, जिसकी खास वजह से ही यहाँ पूरे प्रदेश में चोरी, डकैती, लूटमार, फिरौती, हत्या, अपहरण, महिला उत्पीड़न, गुंडा टैक्स, सरेआम गुंडागर्दी, जमीनों पर जबरन अवैध कब्जे तथा सांप्रदायिक दंगे व तनाव आदि की घटनाएं काफी ज्यादा चरम सीमा पर ही होती रही।
And here's a look at the other election-related developments in Polpuri. The Indo-Nepal border points in Nepal's Kanchanpur district will remain closed due to the assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand to avert any untoward incident during the polls. The second phase of UP assembly polls will be held on the 15th of February. The assembly polls in Uttarakhand will also be held on the same day. The Election Commission today took cognizance of reports on conduct of exit polls by an organization and its publication by a daily, saying it is in violation of poll laws as assembly polls are still on. A commission spokesperson said that the report had been sought from the Chief Electoral Officer of Uttar Pradesh on the issue. Using powers under the Representation of the People's Act, the poll panel has banned exit polls to ensure that its results do not influence voters. Elections to Alapur constituency in Uttar Pradesh has been postponed following the death of Samajwadi Party candidate Chandrasekhar Kanaujiya. He passed away after suffering a heart attack during election campaigning in Ambedkar Nagar. The polls were to be held on the 27th of February. The new dates will now be announced later. On to other national stories, and Minister of State for Home Affairs Kiren Rijiju took on the Congress today by claiming that Hindu population was reducing in India as they never convert people. Rijiju posted a series of tweets along with a screen grab of a news report that quoted the Arunachal Pradesh Congress Committee as saying that the Narendra Modi-led BJP government is trying to convert Arunachal Pradesh into a Hindu state. Accusing the Congress of making provocative statements, Rijiju then tweeted that Hindu population is reducing in India because Hindus never convert people, but minorities in India are flourishing, unlike some countries around, quote unquote. Defending his statement, Rijiju later clarified that it wasn't him but the Congress who was making provocative statements and claimed that Arunachal was a peaceful state.
Minorities are very safe in India. That is why they take refuge in India. India is a very tolerant country. Why are Congress people saying something which is so irresponsible? How can Modi ji convert Arunachal as a Hindu state? What kind of statement is this?
And here are more updates from across the country and nationwide. The Supreme Court has cancelled the admission process of more than 500 students who enrolled in the 5-year MBBS course in Madhya Pradesh between 2008-2012. The top court also dismissed all petitions filed by the students. The admissions had been obtained through unfair means under what has now come to be known as the Vyapam scam. The Apex Court today began hearing the view of Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi on a petition filed by senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh challenging the decision to treat the Aadhaar bill as a money bill. The bill was passed during the budget session in March last year, overruling amendments moved in the Rajya Sabha. The AG told the court that the Speaker's decision on any legislative procedure can never be questioned by the court. Calcutta High Court Judge Justice C.S. Karnan today failed to appear before the Supreme Court in connection with the suo motu contempt proceedings initiated against him. At today's hearing, the bench took on record the recent controversial letter written by Justice Karnan to the Registrar General of the Supreme Court on the 10th of February. Justice Karnan claimed that he was victimized for being a Dalit and this matter be referred to Parliament. A statewide bandh called by the Nagaland Tribes Action Committee, Kohima, and Joint Coordination Committee demanding Nagaland Chief Minister T.R. Zeliang's resignation affected normal life today across the state. Vehicles were off roads while people stayed indoors. Business establishments, educational institutions and government offices including the State Civil Secretariat and Assembly Secretariat were closed. The Department of Personnel and Training warned that central government employees found misusing the leave travel concession will face disciplinary action. As per fresh guidelines by the DOPT, employees are required to submit a declaration that they have indeed travelled up to the declared place of visit. The declaration is required in cases where a person travels on LTC up to the nearest airport, railway station or bus terminal by authorized mode of transport and undertakes the rest of the journey by private transport or own arrangement. With a quick break here, up next we're getting you the international news.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. Let's get the international news. And China joined the US, Japan and South Korea in condemning North Korea's latest missile test. The missile was test fired on Sunday under the supervision of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The missile, called Pukguksong-2, is nuclear capable, which typically travels from 3,000 to 5,500 kilometers. Beijing said that North Korea's launch activities were in violation of the UN Security Council resolutions. Russia's foreign ministry also spoke out against the test, the first since US President Donald Trump's inauguration. Russia and China were both members of the six-party talks, a diplomatic attempt to curb North Korea's nuclear program that started in 2003, along with the US, Japan and North and South Korea. The UNSC has ordered a meeting on an urgent basis at the request of the US, South Korea and Japan.
금년에 최초로 감행한 탄도미사일 발사로서 유엔 안보리 관련 결의에 대한 노골적이고 명백한 위반일 뿐만 아니라 한반도 및 국제사회 전체의 평화와 안전에 대한 엄중한 위협인 바 정부는 이를 강력히 규탄한다.
As the President of the United States sending a powerful and unmistakable signal to North Korea and to the entire world as he stood shoulder to shoulder with the Prime Minister of Japan and declared our steadfast and unwavering support for that alliance. And the meaning of that symbolism will be lost on no one. The message is that we are going to reinforce and strengthen our vital alliances in the Pacific region as part of our strategy to deter and prevent the increasing hostility that we've seen in recent years from the North Korean regime.
North Korea must fully comply with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions. During the summit meeting that I had with President Trump, he assured me that the United States will always with Japan 100%.
And in more news from the U.S., nearly 200,000 people have been evacuated from several northern California counties after damage to a spillway at the Oroville Dam. The dam, which is the nation's tallest, remains intact, but the emergency spillway, which helps to ensure that the water does not rush over the top of the dam when the levels are high, is eroding. The damage prompted a mandatory evacuation for cities and counties near Lake Oroville amid fears that it could endanger communities living downstream. Water levels in the reservoir had risen following heavy rain and snow after years of severe drought. About 150 miles northeast of San Francisco, Lake Oroville is one of California's largest man-made lakes, and it is the first time the Lake Oroville has experienced such an emergency in the dam's near 50-year history.
We're dealing with some soil erosion that is taking place on the emergency spillway. That is why we have upped the, we've increased the release of water over the main spillway to 100,000 CFS, so we didn't have any more water coming over the top of the emergency spillway. That is the goal.
And here are more international news updates in Global Buzz. The U.S. National Weather Service has said a major winter storm is expected to dump 8 to 16 inches of snow on parts of the U.S. Northeast today. The authorities have sent storm warnings from New York to northern Maine. The weather might disrupt travel and result in delays and cancellations of flights. Coastal New England could experience flooding and widespread windy conditions with potential gusts greater than 80 kilometers per hour expected to as far west as the Central Appalachians and the Mid-Atlantic region. Thousands of Romanians gathered outside the government headquarters in Bucharest and other cities to protest against the Social Democrat government who tried to weaken a crackdown on corruption earlier this week. The one-month-old cabinet of Prime Minister Sorin Grindeanu enraged public opinion when it approved an emergency decree that would have decriminalized several graft offences. While the turnout has fallen since last Sunday, rallies have continued throughout the week with protesters demanding the resignation of the government they say they cannot trust. According to a UN report, 18 civilians, mostly women and children, were killed last week in air raids by NATO forces in Afghanistan's Helmand province. The UN said that the strikes had been conducted by international military forces, but only US aircraft have been involved in the recent coalition strikes. However, the Afghan officials and local residents have given a different toll of 22 civilians killed during the joint operation carried out by the US and Afghan forces. Sports now, and in cricket, India defeated Bangladesh by 208 runs in the one-off test at Hyderabad today, extending their unbeaten streak to 19 matches in tests and 20 at home. Chasing a target of 459, the visitors were bundled out for 250 just before tea on final day. Bangladesh resumed their second innings at the overnight score of 103 for 3 and were hoping to survive the final day, but some excellent bowling from the Indian spinners saw them lose their last 7 remaining wickets without much resistance. R. Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja both picked 4 wickets each in Bangladesh's second innings, while Ishant Sharma chipped in with 2 crucial dismissals. Virat Kohli was also adjudged man of the match for his double century in the first innings. India had declared the second innings at 159 for 4 after bundling out Bangladesh for 388. In the first innings, the hosts had posted a mammoth 687 for 6. The win was India's 6th successive series victory.
Everyone at the international level wants to do well. You know, it's as simple as that. And we are playing as a team. I think that's been the difference in this team. If you see, you can say probably 2016. You know, I've scored a lot of runs, but before that, 2015 as well, we won test matches where I didn't score many runs, but the other guys were stepping up and scoring runs. So, you know, their confidence was rubbing off on me. That's how you play as a team.
Well, India grabbed another cricket victory. That and more updates in Sports Beat. India defeated Pakistan by 9 wickets to win the T20 Blind World Cup in Bengaluru on Sunday. Batting first, Pakistan scored 197 for 8 in their 20 overs. Defending champions India, however, chased down the target in the 18th over with a loss of 1 wicket. Opener Prakash Jayaramayya scored an unbeaten 99 to put India on course for the title. With the win, India successfully defended the title they had won in 2012. Switzerland progressed to the Fed Cup semi-finals after beating France 3-1 in Geneva. The tie was poised at 1-1 after Saturday's rubber, but Switzerland's Timi Baksinski and Belinda Bencic recorded crucial wins to take their country to the last 4 for the second straight year. Premier League leaders Chelsea were held to a 1-1 draw at Burnley on Sunday. The Blues opened the scoring through Pedro in the 7th minute. However, the home side equalised through a stunning free kick from Robbie Brady. Despite the draw, Chelsea are at top, 10 points clear of Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspurs. American Jordan Spieth won the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am by 4 shots to lift his 9th PGA Tour title. The two-time major winner carded a 2-under par 70 to finish on 19 under. Spieth is the second youngest player to reach the landmark after Tiger Woods. That's it on the news at 6. Thanks for joining us.